The time is almost 15 minutes before the top of the hour, and this hour of news and views is sponsored by Africa Muslims Agency. Africa Muslims Agency, a beacon of hope to communities all over Africa and beyond. And we're now going to be joined in a bit by Professor Amira Osman, distinguished professor of architecture at Swan University of Technology and the South African Research Chair in Special Transformation. Professor Osman has deep ties to Sudan, and she's personally impacted by the devastating humanitarian crisis that is affecting millions in the region. I think it is by far one of the most devastating and most notable humanitarian crises that is occurring on the continent of Africa. And I think it is not getting as much attention as it should. And it is worsening by the day, with more than 14 million people having been displaced, and atrocities are reported at a harrowing scale. Professor Osman is trying to raise funds for a village where almost everyone has been forced to flee their homes and are trekking through the desert in search of safety. Her first-hand insights will help us shed light on the urgent needs in Sudan as humanitarian access remains perilously limited. Professor Osman, thank you so much for joining us. As you mentioned, under very, very difficult times. Really appreciate you giving us your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for bringing light to the crisis in Sudan at a time when Sudanese feel very unseen by mainstream media. Thank you.
No, I think the pleasure is all ours. And I think maybe our point of departure can be, from a personal level, as a Sudanese so far from home, seeing the pictures, hearing the harrowing stories that are coming out from a place that's so beloved and so close to your heart, and you being so far away and almost feeling so helpless. I'm sure it's a very, very difficult place to be in, just personally as a human being outside of everything else.
Yes, indeed it is. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to share. And I'll try and give you some general perspectives, but also personal stories. And if I may start with the personal. My husband comes from the village just east of the Blue Nile. There is an area in Sudan called Al Jazeera. If it's literally translated, it means the island. And that is an area very fertile, very beautiful and very valuable agricultural land between the White Nile and the Blue Nile. And there are many villages in that region. And my husband's village is just east of the Blue Nile in that region. That region over many months has been systematically targeted by the militia in the Sudan. People have been terrorized. They've had to leave their homes. And in the last 10 days or so, this has now affected the area just east of the Nile where my husband's village is. So this is the village where all of my husband's family reside. They lived simple, rural, but abundant lives. They had small agricultural holdings. They didn't need for food. They had no aspirations, many of them, to leave the village. Many homes, and I'm speaking from personal experience, from sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, that's the perspective I'm giving. Many of them would have some source of food production at home. They would have cows and pigeons and hens, and it's a simple rural life. And so they were living well. They were living well. For the last year and a half, that region has been under threat. And for the last 10 days, they have systematically, deliberately been evacuated from their homes with great terror, if I can call it like terrorism, like it's really terrible tactics where the militia has come in, it's terrorized people, it's beaten them up. I'm speaking of my brother-in-law being beaten up. I'm speaking of my husband's uncle who had money, and a lot of women in Sudan, their savings are in gold jewelry. This militia, these members of the militia came in, they took the car keys, they terrorized them with guns. They had sophisticated scanning equipment, and they would scan the yards of the homes of these rural people to find where the gold was buried, because the villagers had buried their money and their gold. So they not only terrorized them to leave their homes, they made sure that they left their homes with absolutely nothing except for the clothes that they're wearing. And I'm talking again about my brother-in-law, has been left behind. He's disabled. His brother is taking care of him. Another elderly father has been left behind. His son has remained to take care of him. But other than that, my husband's village of about 12,000 people, almost all of them have left with absolutely nothing. And if I can just conclude with where they are. So they've just had to leave their homes into the desert, literally wandering from village to village, trying to find safety from the militia. The militia did not just leave them be. They're walking on foot because no one can take a car. All the cars have been stolen by the militia and their targets. So it's only people that are able to walk. They've walked in a desert. What happens is the militia will then come on motorbikes and terrorize them again with guns and shoot at them. So they start dispersing. So a single family, the kids will be in one village, the parents will be in another village. But of course, it's a big community, so people take care of each other. But at the moment, reaching them is almost impossible because they are scattered in those small villages. Very finally, in the Jazeera region, I need to do more research, but there are about 2,200 villages. In the last 10 days alone, there are 60 villages that have been affected by this displacement. It is systematic. It's a systematic land grab, it's a systematic occupation, and it's terrorism at its worst. Thank you.
No, definitely. I want us to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to touch on a very, very concerning aspect of this. There are several reports from the United Nations which indicate that women and children are facing heightened sexual violence and exploitation amid this crisis. And I want to just chat about how our families coping with this added dangers and what kind of support is mostly urgently needed. But we'll touch on that a bit after this short break.
With Salam Media. This is Salam Media coming to you live from South Africa.
The people of Palestine need your support now. Africa Muslims Agency is on the ground, already providing food, medication, and emergency supplies in Gaza. Donate any amount to Heal Palestine at africamuslimsagency.co.za. Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Searching for elite local and international investment and advisory services from an award-winning firm? Look no further than the Belmont Mayer Group, your gateway to unparalleled investment and wealth management. At Belmont Mayer, we believe in the art of wealth creation, a meticulous process fueled by our unwavering commitment to excellence. With a focus on providing elite alternative investments and quality advice, we also pride ourselves on maximizing value for our esteemed investors, as seen through our consistent outperformance. Your financial success is our top priority. Join us at Belmont Mayer and experience the difference firsthand. Ready to embark on a journey of greatness? Contact us today. Reach out to the Belmont Mayer Group on 078 786 1698. Call or WhatsApp or email us at info@belmontmayer.com. Elevate your financial future with Belmont Mayer, where every detail matters.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media. The time is 3 minutes before the top of the hour, and we're still keeping a keen focus on Sudan with the power struggle between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF, has erupted into a large-scale conflict. This is since April 2023 and has been driving humanitarian needs in the country ever since. Conservative estimates say the conflict has killed more than 20,000 people and injured more than 33,000. And at a glance, there's just over 8.1 million people that have been internally displaced since April 2023. And we're chatting to, I think, someone that is really close to this conflict and has made, an urgent appeal for those that are close to her heart, those that she knows personally that have been affected by it. And it's Professor Amira Osman. Prof, thank you so much for staying with us. Before I went on that short break, I wanted to chat a bit about those really concerning reports from the United Nations, which indicate that women and children are facing heightened sexual violence and exploitation amid this crisis. How are families coping with these added dangers, and what would you say is urgent support that is currently needed to try and aid and alleviate the suffering?
Thank you so much. You are absolutely right. We are terrified for our own family members, but our care extends to all of the communities in Sudan that have been subjected to this very inhumane treatment. Women and young girls are always in areas of conflict. They're the worst off. And in this case, there have been alarming reports of wide-scale sexual abuse in the region. So the very key things now is transport to get people out of the danger zones. I do not want to engage in any political opinions, but the reality is the military-dominated areas currently are safer for people. They are relatively safer. So people need to be taken out through transport from the danger areas into the military-controlled zones. And they need food. Those are the two most important things, and specifically to be able to protect women and young girls. Once they are in those destinations, they will need, again, food and medicines and accommodation. Now, what we can do from our side is we need to put political pressure on the war, not just the warring parties in Sudan. Now, this war is being funded by external forces, and I do not want to mention any. This war is deliberately being funded. The militia is very well equipped, it's very well funded, and that is coming from somewhere. So we need political pressure, and we need a lot of media coverage. If we don't have a lot of media coverage, this will just continue unabated, and everyone, including women and young girls, will be more at risk. We need the opening up of borders for people to be able to escape, because, as I said, even the military-dominated zones, they are only relatively safer. They're not safe. We need the opening up of borders for people to escape, and we also need the opening up of routes so that relief efforts and medicines can come into the country. But media coverage saves lives. And currently, the Sudan is not getting sufficient media coverage. This is a power. It's bigger than the Sudan. It's bigger than the two generals. It's bigger than the militia and the military. This is a major struggle around gold, wealth and land wealth and water. It's about the Nile water. And so there are a lot of racial and political reasons, but we need to mobilize in partnership, and we need to understand the interlinked nature of these global struggles. This is a struggle about land. Now, specifically, my husband's village and the 2,000 plus villages in that region, they're being terrorized to leave with no hope of return because someone wants that land. So the war in Sudan, I truly believe it's about gold and it's about land. So we can get distracted with the details, but we need to understand that and understand it and link it to struggles in Palestine and elsewhere. But at the moment, media coverage, political pressure, and just the raising of funds for transport and food is what we desperately need.
I would like us to bring it a bit back, to your family. When was the last time you made any kind of contact with them? And what was discussed? What was the latest that they were telling you about where they were and the current circumstances that they're under?
So many of them are just walking on foot in the desert. And then they get somewhere where there is, because there's no network, there are certain places where there's Starlink connections. So, and remember, many of them, their phones were also stolen. So there's only a few people that then give us news about the whole group. They get to a small village where there's a Starlink, there's no power. They rely on solar panels. In my husband's village, they stole all the Starlink connections and they stole all the solar panels. So there's absolutely no way to connect with anyone in my husband's village that's been left behind, such as our disabled cousin. We can't connect with him. So that when they walk the desert on foot, usually scattered because they've been terrorized into going into different directions. They contact us. And once they get into the military-controlled zones, which are safer, they then just let us know. So currently, most of our family members are being accommodated in a stadium in in a town called Halfa. So they've just opened up the stadium. We were happy that the weather is a little bit cooler in that region now for the walks across the desert. But now we're also concerned that they're staying in the open in a stadium when it gets cooler in the evening, and the kids, and we don't know how to get blankets to them. It's just impossible. So that's the condition. So some of them are still lost. We have a sister that we haven't heard from her and her children for days. We have no idea where she is. But the people that have managed to escape, as soon as they get to an area with a Starlink connection, they contact us. And interestingly, the banking system still works. So there's no cash. Remember, all the banks, everything was destroyed. But we are able to transfer money to the bus drivers that take these people out. We're able to transfer money to the people that are selling food. And I can tell you one thing, these, as far as I know, these 2,000 plus villages, there's been no sight of international assistance whatsoever. So we hear news about the Darfur region, Al-Fashir, and the refugee camps in the neighboring countries getting support from global agencies. I can tell you that our families, they're relying on money coming in from people like ourselves, people, Sudanese in a diaspora, the very generous support of people that are supporting our initiatives. But none of my family members, and I'm talking very broad in different regions of Sudan, no one has ever mentioned having seen any kind of international relief effort. It's all community-led initiatives, which are very admirable and very well organized.
And speaking of initiatives, let's touch a bit on your appeal, and the details thereof. What are you specifically, appealing for? What will be the logistics, of trying to reach out, whatever you might have gathered from here to those that, want to lend a helping hand? How will it ultimately get to Sudan? And just briefly, what will it be used for? And the details of those that want to contribute, how can they go about it?
So some people, and I have absolute respect for this, some people are donating, based on things I've been saying and posting on social media, personal communications. People are preferring to donate to international organizations, and that is admirable, and please continue to do so. The magnitude and the scale of this tragedy it's massive. So contributing to the international agencies is important, but it's also important to note that I'm talking about a very big region in central Sudan that have not seen those international agencies. They're working in different regions of the Sudan and with refugee camps elsewhere. So at the moment, we're trying to mobilize. I'm doing it in my personal capacity to raise funding for this particular one village that I know, but I can link people up with people from other villages who are doing similar campaigns. And we provide evidence of exactly how the money is being used. We're very well organized. Since the 2019 revolution in Sudan, something emerged in Sudan that is youth-led. It's the youth created something called the neighborhood committees. And these are the work that they do is incredibly well organized. And these neighborhood committees, there's even been talk of perhaps nominating them for a Nobel Prize. That's how well recognized these young youth-led committees, and we know some of them in name. And we can guarantee very organized and very targeted use of those funding, because the international agencies are not reaching our families. And I'm talking about a wide-scale need for support. So while Sudan is in a diaspora like ourselves, we're able to fund our immediate families, and we're doing so. But we're also funding the general community, because remember, it's 12,000 people in this one village that have been displaced. And we have our immediate family members, but we can't not contribute to people who don't have family outside of Sudan. So we're raising funds for both. And if people, and this is my appeal, we will take care of our families, but if you can help us take care of the people that do not have families outside of Sudan, if you can make a contribution, if you can reach out to me personally, I will make sure I put you in contact with these youth-led initiatives. That what they do is communal kitchens, and they also get buses to evacuate people from the danger zones. Those are the two critical needs at the moment. Thank you.
And reaching out to you would be your contact details, your number. Do you mind if we share that on air?
I do not mind at all. I have committed the next few weeks to just working on this campaign, and I'm very happy to lead it, and I will put people in touch with other people. So I'm not acting in isolation, but I'm very happy to be the contact person.
And just in closing, any parting shot, anything that we might have left out that you feel, the world needs to know about Sudan and the crisis that is unfolding in that part of the world?
Yes, I'm making a plea that we don't engage in divisive political debate. This is a massive humanitarian crisis, and I reiterate, this is about land, and it's about wealth and resources and gold. So for us to engage in very divisive political debate, it doesn't help any of us. We need to act collectively, we need to act in a focused manner, and we need to address the humanitarian crisis first and foremost, and then put political pressure to just stop this war. And this political pressure cannot happen without media coverage. This is a plea, please. We acknowledge all of the other atrocities being committed globally, but please do not leave Sudan out in these discussions. Please mention Sudan often, frequently, through the media, through your personal social connections, through your social media. Please remember Sudan. It is critical because it will help save lives and shed more light on this crisis and raise more funding. Thank you.
Definitely, Professor Amira Osman, we're going to leave it on that note, and we'll be sure to share your contact details to our very, very generous listeners, who I'm sure would be more than happy to lend a helping hand. I really appreciate you giving us your time, as you mentioned, under very, very difficult circumstances. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmah. Thank you so much.
There you have it. That was Professor Amira Osman. And I think, she was shedding light on a very, very concerning and difficult turn of events. Imagine being so far away from home and watching, scenes just unfold from where you are from, places that you've loved, places that you've cherished, people that you love and hold so dear to your heart, and just watching them, being a statistic, essentially, because usually when we speak about these things, it's usually people we don't know. We might care because we are human beings, but at the end of the day, these are not our families. But imagine it's people it's people you love, it's people you share so much with, and you're watching them become statistics when they speak about people that have been killed. They are part of the numbers. When they talk about people that have been displaced, they are part of the numbers. And that, just hearing those first-hand accounts from Professor Amira Osman has been quite eye-opening. And if you want to get involved, if you want to be part of our campaign to help a village out in Sudan, which is literally on foot walking through the desert to try and find refuge, you can give her a call. Her number is 083-287-4006. I'll repeat, her number is 083-287-4006. I know there's a lot that's been happening all across the world, and that sometimes it feels like we can't do much. There's donor fatigue to some instance. But I think whatever that you might have, to try and alleviate the suffering of, women and children and men who are just living their lives, in the village, subsistence farming, and we're happy, with the status quo. They didn't want much. They were just happy with having a piece of land, farming, keeping livestock. But the politics of the day, and the selfish interests of those that want to deprive them of their lands, got them into circumstances that they currently find themselves. And, that's not unique. It has happened all across the world, and who knows who might be next. The next time we speak of such atrocities might be us, right, in South Africa. Never mind the creature comforts that we enjoy today, but you don't know what might happen next year or the year after. And we might be the ones at, the receiving end of much needed aid. So I think very, very important, initiative that she's embarked upon, and really, really give her props for that. And again, just last year number 0832874006. We have come to the end of today's show, the Thursday edition of News and Views with myself, Salalo Makwidira. Inait Wadi will be with you tomorrow morning on the Juma edition of News and Views. But I'm not leaving you just like that alone. I'm leaving you with the hashtag Heard on Air, and this was with Inait Wad. This from Wednesday nights with Inait Wad, where he had a roundtable about the recent BRICS summit out in Russia, and the discussion there was what was on the agenda and why did it matter the most. So keep it locked to Salam Media. I'll be with you again next week. Goodbye.
We are here in the middle of a Zahra neighborhood. The whole neighborhood is already destroyed. More than 17 towers are down. Here, as you can see, the firefighters trying their best to help. The people are still under the rubble. A lot of the people.
Join Hamza on his exclusive South African tour as he shares his personal experiences, never before seen footage, and powerful insights on the ongoing genocide in Gaza. This is more than just a talk. It's an invitation to witness Gaza through the lens of Hamza Sha'alan. Don't miss this opportunity to meet the photojournalist who brought Gaza's pain and perseverance to the world in its darkest moments. Follow Salam Media on social media pages for more on this tour and be part of the conversation.